All right, folks, it's Tuesday. A little bit earlier than normal, but that's okay. That's okay. It's going to be well worth it. Trust me. Trust me. We got folks got things to do. I got things to do. But we're going to do it like this for the next hour, folks. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve After Dark to concerts in the park. You're live with your boy Lonzo, the godfather of West Coast hip-hop. We're doing this today, folks, like nobody else does. I got Dusty in the dugout. I got my guest standing by right now. Mr. Himself. My cousin, Lenny Williams, folks, coming on shortly. What up, Dusty? I'm just gonna bring Lenny on in right now.
Wait, I just put that together. That's your cousin?
Yeah. All back in Louisiana. Yes.
We go back.
Pleasure to meet you, my brother.
Menden, Louisiana, to be exact.
Yep.
Yeah.
Menden. Yep. My mama from Menden. It's the connection is my cousin who know the connection is no longer with us, but he made the connection doing the movie of what was that? I was in one of the first hip hop. Welcome to Death Row.
Right.
Jay King from Club Nouveau was watching. Lenny know Jay King, and Jay King know me, and Aubrey Jr. know. It was just connected. That's how we found out, man.
Yes.
That's how we found out. Yes, sir.
Good old Aubrey Jr. Yeah, I told you I saw his wife.
Beautiful.
Well, I talked to her when I was down in LA Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. How's she doing?
She's doing good. Yeah, she was living up here in Northern California. So after Aubrey Jr. passed, she moved back to Los Angeles to be close to her daughter and the grandson.
Okay. All right. No problem. That's a good thing. I'm glad to hear that, Doc. Hey, man, look here. I got a call yesterday from a buddy of mine, Adrian Gregory. He sent me your video, your song, and I played it, and I say, look at my boy. Look at that's how you stay relevant. I don't know how you are, but that's how you stay relevant, okay? You know.
Yeah, I've been hanging out with them youngsters. Yeah, my wife seen me get a little sag in my pants and put my gold front on. She said, "Oh, he finna go down in the hood and hang out with them youngsters." Yeah.
I ain't mad at you, Doc. I listened to the flow. I said, that flow sound familiar, but ain't nothing wrong with that, Doc. Right now, he ain't using the flow, and you did a good job of it. And that's why I wanted you on the show, man. I want you people to hear. I know Facebook, YouTube ain't gonna let us play a whole lot of it. I just wanted to drop a little snippet right quick, Dusty, if you can. Can you do that?
Sir, yes, sir. Here we go. This is called It's Yours by the legend Lenny Williams. That's a cold flow right there, man.
And
the story behind it is crazy too, man. You still out there got these girls tripping, huh?
Well, man, I can't help it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just be like that sometimes, right? Yeah.
It's in the family.
Like that Ben Gay and that Old Spice, yeah.
You know what? It happened to me in real life, so I ain't mad at you, Doc.
And they know you got that Social Security check coming in and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
And that pension, yeah. So it's all good. Yeah, but it's it's interesting. And the song is kind of humorous, And he talking about he met her at the club and she told him to come.
Girl's trying to snatch up that check.
Yeah, right. And then he run into a year later and she tell him she got a baby and he tell her congratulations. She say congratulations. He said, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I was wrapped up like a thug. And, I used to be a youth counselor, right? And I used to tell the boys all the time, hey, man, y'all putting on them 2-year-old condoms that you got in your wallet. I said, don't you know the condom got an expiration date on it? You had a condom on, but it was expired, and, they be forgetting that. And then in the song, he talking about it was only one time. I said, one time?
Blow off the dust of that condom.
Yeah, right. So trying to spit a little knowledge to them, as well as they'll have fun with the song.
Look here, real life, real talk.
Mm-hmm.
Me and 3 cousins all have one-time babies.
Right. Well, he got 4 cousins now. Right. Yeah. Right.
4 cousins got one-time babies. One-time babies. Okay. We all got one-time babies. No date. No nothing. Hey, casual. Hey. Okay. Cool. We did it. What? You got
what? About, hell no, it ain't mine. And then just more knowledge about those condoms. If you put the Vaseline on them or put that baby oil on them, it's gonna cause them to disintegrate a little bit and sperm coming right through them. You know what I mean? And so like I said, I was a youth counselor. I used to trying to tell them, I said, man, shoot, you got to make sure. Yeah. So It's all word to the wise out there.
Yeah, yeah. Because it ain't
Yeah.
no joke. It ain't no joke. Somebody you were just waving at. Next thing you know, y'all, we parents? We what? I just waved at you one time. Hey.
You said, what's your name? What's your name? I don't even know your name. What's your what's her name? Since you got a baby by you. What's her name? Yeah.
Literally. That from back in the day. Are you lying? Yeah, man. Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, Lenny, how you been doing, man?
I've been doing good. Just been running around. Been doing the tour with King George and running all over the country. We was in Oakland last week, Los Angeles. Then I went down to Oklahoma City on Sunday. I'm doing a play with Karan Joseph Riley and Chrisette Michelle and Patrice Lovely that be doing all the play mob with Tyler Perry. We doing a play called When a Woman's Fed Up. And so, just running around doing that and having a good time and, stacking up for that old age pension. You know what I mean? Because our boys in the White House, we don't know what's going to happen, so
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Put on your your mattress sound like the way they tripping, man. Hey, you told me a story one time about how you was doing something else totally different. And then your wife called you about a check you got from BMI or something like that. Could you tell us that story when Kanye sampled stuff?
Yeah, I was, be getting my BMI checks all the time, and they go up and they go down. This is time period when when a lot happening and they was kind of low. And so she called me one time. I was out, and that's the Beatles was in then. They didn't have no cell phones then, and she beat me, and so I pulled over and called her. She said, found a pay phone when they had them, and she's like, your BMI check came and it's thick as a encyclopedia. So I hurried up and put my foot on the pedal, and I got home and opened them up, and I had $94,000 for writing the song and $94,000 for being the publisher of the song. And it was when Kanye did Twister, and they had me in the back sounding like a chipmunk, right? And I was
overnight celebrity.
Yeah, them right. I was like, man, they got me in the back sounding like a chipmunk. And then when I opened that check, them checks up and saw how big they was, I was like, I said, I'll be a chipmunk for that kind of money, boy. Yeah,
I'm not mad at you, Doc.
That money paid the house off, right? We had bought a new house, and like, okay, boom, the house paid off now.
Said Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Man, that must have been a great feeling, Doc.
Yeah,
that's dope.
But that's what you call, like the music business, handling the business side of the music, right? And then I'll be telling people, they say, well, how did you learn, about publishing? And I would say, well, this was like before I was in Tower Power, I was hanging out at Larry Graham's house, right? Okay. And so Larry was getting ready to leave Sly, and a lot of people in Hollywood heard about it. So they was coming down trying to sign Larry, and so he was showing me off, letting them hear me sing, and so it got real late, and so I just spent the night in Larry's house. And when I went to bed, it was 2 twin beds in there, and I slept in one, and the other one was empty. But I woke up about 5 a.m, getting ready to go home, and there was a girl in the other bedroom. I'm your cousin. We from Minden, Louisiana. It was on my mind, right? And so then me and her started talking, and she said, I heard you singing last night. You sound so great. She said, do you write? I said, yeah, I'll be writing. And she's like, do you have your own publishing? And I said, no, I don't have a publishing. She said, I'm going to show you how to get your publishing. So she showed me how to get my publishing. I said, that's the best piece I never got. You know what I mean? Instead of, getting over there and getting busy, I got busy on the business side and found out about my publishing. And so now all the songs that I've written back in the day and everything like that, I get my part, Yeah, so got to take care of the business first. Yeah.
If you take care of the business will take care of you.
Many people have sampled. Yeah, Jay-Z, Andre 3000, Trey Songz, Young Jeezy. Mm-hmm. I mean, what made you go that route? I mean, most people sell off their publishing, or they just want that quick money. I mean, what made you, looking back, what made you think differently than most artists?
I don't know. I just kind of felt, I don't know if I just felt that I wanted to hold on to it. And my manager used to always tell me, maybe at some point in time you'll sell it. You know what I mean? You can make money and then you start all over again. I was like, no, it's something that I own, got my name on it. You know what I mean? And I named it after my boys, Leonard and Lonell. So I was like, I just want to just hold on to it. And so I don't know if it was, cried or, or whatever. I just said, let's hold on till I need it, you know what I mean? And I never got myself in a situation where I really, really needed it, you know what I mean? And so I just held on to it, and it just turned out to be a great thing, it's just like an investment, how, you buy a house, 20, 30 years ago, you paid, 250,000 for it. Now it's worth 1.5, or, you put that money in the bank and you're getting 4 or 5% interest, or you got money in the stocks and you're getting 10, 12, 14%. And it just keeps on maturing. So I just said, I'm just going to hold on to it and see what it is. And so, it's just been good. It's the gift to keep on giving.
I told a story one time about when I was DJing at one of my clubs. And Because I Love You is a long song. It's like 7 minutes, right?
Yeah, 7 minutes and something.
I'm trying to cut it back. And so right before you start going, oh, I cut the song. Man, they wanted to cut my throat. Nigga, like I had stole some children or something. Are you fine? I had to go back and play the song over again, man, and apologize to them folks. And I never did that again.
They let you off the hook, huh? As my dad said, they learned you something.
Man, they taught me something I'll never forget. Don't ever cut that part off again, okay?
Yeah.
No,
it was funny because MCA, when they had it, after ABC sold the MCA, they wanted to do a single, because that song never been a single, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they was like, so they got Andre, what's his boy used to play drums for Rufus, Andre Fisher. Yeah, they got Andre Fisher and told him to cut it, and then they didn't like what he did, so they called me and say, okay, Lenny, can you edit it? And I was like, man, I don't know what to take in and out of that song. Just leave it like that. So it's never ever been a single.
Well, I never knew that.
Yeah. And actually, I did it twice. I did it once I did it on Motown before I did it.
Let me ask you, Lenny.
One. I did it over there, and I didn't even have the talking in it, and I didn't say oh in it or nothing like that. And then I went on the road and singing it and kind of changing it up a little bit, and then left Motown and went to ABC, and then I talked Frank Wilson into letting me re-record it. And we recorded and put that the O in there, and then bam, it just took off. Yeah.
What you gonna say, Dusty? Go ahead.
That talking at the end, was that talking at the end, was that rehearsed, or was that just something you did off the fly?
Yeah, I kind of was doing it right on shows and stuff like that, but I had never recorded it. And then the day that I recorded it, what's his name? Andre Crouch and his sister Sandra came to the studio to check it out, right? So I was trying to make, Andre's, gospel singer. I said, I'm gonna make Andre shout or something, get up and get the hollering and carrying on. So I hit that high note, and I was in there kind of like preaching a little bit on it, and so I could say that Andre Crouch kind of inspired that, just by him being there, and I was just trying to get a reaction out of him, and then it's like, oh man, this is cool, yeah.
Okay, that's cool, Doc. That's really cool, man. Who do you like performing with the best? I mean, if you had to go out right now,
that's dope.
And put together,
did you?
Hold on, Doc.
Let me ask real quick. Oh,
hold on.
Go ahead.
If you had to put together a lineup for a concert, who would you want to play with? Your favorite four acts aside from yourself?
We go with Al Green, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that would be for sure, and probably Ron Isley.
Okay.
And we got to get a female in there some kind of way. That's a rough one right there.
What about Shaka?
Shaka. Yeah, we was on ABC together, right, back in the days, right? Yeah, Shaka would be great.
Aretha?
Well, Aretha, yeah, I used to do shows with Aretha all the time. Yeah, she used to call me up, and matter of fact, she called me up when we do her. She would rent the Fox Theater in Detroit, and she'd invite 150 guests, right? And then they would be on the stage first and waving in the back of the stage, and she'd have a 5-course meal and everything. Then they close those back curtains. They'd go sit out in the theater, about 150 of her family and best friends, and then she'd have me sing, right? And so we got to be pretty good friends. So I was up there doing a play with Billy D. Williams, right? And so my wife was with me. So she had this truck come, and they had a bouquet of flowers. Looked like she spent about $1,000 on this bouquet of all kinds of beautiful flowers for Billy D, right? So the guy go back to the truck. Everybody think he leaving. He come back out with look like she spent another $1,000 on red roses for me. And my wife say, "Oh, hell no. Red roses mean something." You know, she one of them Richmond girls, right? Yeah. She talking about red roses mean something. I said, "This is from Aretha. I don't give a," you know, she was all mad and she just knocked over them roses. I said, "I'll be there." "Oh, I did it accidentally." I said, "No, girl, you ain't did that accidentally. I saw that big old hip go over there and, you know, like you trying to do the bump or something and knock them roses over." Yeah, they was all over the dressing room, water running everywhere. Yeah, so my wife, I said, "Well, shoot, maybe I have to take one for the queen." Shoot, you know, you yeah, but Aretha Franklin, that'd be great. Yeah.
Go ahead, Dusty.
Yeah. You know, Lonzo had a situation where someone sampled his song and he didn't really find out until the song had already sold, you know, a few 100,000 copies. Speaking of Master P, and he ended up sampling Lonzo's biggest song with World Class Wrecking Crew. Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, there have been times when people have
someone sampled your music and you didn't find out till later.
I didn't find out, right? Yeah, and then somewhere down south, you know, I've got people who sample the record, and you know, just kind of hard finding them because they on these little obscure labels, and you know, selling records out their cars and stuff like that, and it's like you spend more money trying to, you know, to get the money. You know, once you get it, you probably spend more money, you know. And so it's like some of them you just got to say, hey, that's the cost of doing business, you know. But yeah, you know, folks is busy out there. You know, you got to always kind of be on it, and you know. But you know, you like you say, you got people that, you know, let you know. "Oh man, I heard this girl down there and somewhere in Mississippi got your record. She got to answer the cost. I love you." And I've been trying to find that girl for the longest, but she probably done sold, you know, 10, 15, 20,000 records, you know, probably, you know, at her gigs or something, you know. But what can you do? Right. You know, I could want to go down there and get beat up, and get somebody get in and cut my throat. So I'm looking for that money. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be more hassle than it's worth. You ain't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You ain't never lied. And then what do you think about the current situation with streaming and where the record business is going these days?
Well, it's rough out there. You know what I mean? This record I got out right now, I think we got about 300, 400,000 streams, you know, and it's like, what kind of money is that? You know what I mean? I might owe them some money, you know what I mean? You know, so I don't really like it, but I was talking to Jay King, you brought him up. He was just telling me, like, back, you know, in the 30s and stuff, like when they first started, you know, when BMI and CSAC and all that, you know, first started, and they were collecting the money was real low. And then, you know, when it got toward the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, that's when you was really making money on publishing. I mean, you could, you know, buy houses and retire, you know, with the amount of money that you was getting. So he says that in time, he feels like that the money from streaming is going to be equivalent to the money that we were making in the 70s and 80s and the 90s off of you know, BMI and stuff like that. But I guess us that are making music right now, we're kind of like the sacrificial lambs, like the people in the 30s were.
Yeah, and me and my buddy was talking the other day, I got a lot of stuff that's in movies and stuff like that. And because used to be a time when they was on regular television, my BMI checks was real nice. Okay.
Right.
Now that all the television channels are now streaming, we under the streaming program, okay, as opposed to the regular situation. And man, it's almost pitiful, dude. You can barely buy lunch these days on the damn
I know, right. And we back to the old days. The way you make your money is going on the road. You know, I mean, that's what you got to do to make your money. You know, so a lot of times people want me to do a song, and they say, "Hey, Lenny, song," and they want me to, you know, pay them for going to the studio. I'm like, man, we don't know, you know. We ain't thinking to make no money on this song on the radio. You know what I mean? Right. You just got to be a big song up, like the little youngster Coco Jones. She sampled "Cause I Love You," and the little girl that's on the Will Smith show right now. But they redid it, right? Yes, right. And so she redid it, and I got a nice little check, you know, last month on that. You know what I mean? But you know, she had a big record, Disney's behind her and everything like that. But yeah, but the average record, you know, all it is just advertising for you to, you know, to get gigs, and then you get gigs, and then that's where you make your money right now. And if you ain't gigging, boy, you better have something going. I see all the youngsters, they got perfume or they got hair care products or jeans or something, And
you can sell hats.
I could sell hats and all that kind of stuff like that. But then, you have the mechanism for doing all that. You got to carry it on the road. You got to pay somebody, So, but it just, if it works and if it makes sense, then you do it. If you don't, you know what I mean, then you just, So I just been, I carry stuff sometimes, and then sometimes I don't. I just say, well, I just get out here and do my gigging, and it works, But I imagine if I was real young, and I was trying to make it, but I already got my house paid for. I got rental houses they paid for, and so so I got streams of money coming in anyway, and then my publishing and stuff like that. So sometimes just let some things go, Well, but if I was a youngster, I'd be out there hustling, and bent over. I used to work at Ford Motor Company, and we was making the Mustangs back in the 60s, right? And them guys be coming down the line, you working, they say assholes and elbows, you know what I mean? They want to see you bend over, see something moving, you putting stuff in, and taking, whatever. So but I just kind of like don't work too hard, but but I guess I got that foundation, Yeah,
I man. You know what, dude? You're blessed. You're blessed. You got your health, you got some money, you got a good woman, still got your career. Man, what else what else do you really need? Okay. And that's why I try to tell these folks, man, you out there trying to bust your ass, trying to impress people all your life. For what?
Yeah.
For what? For some oohs and ahs?
Uh-huh.
And
a lot of times people don't understand. Like my wife went on the road with me this weekend. She did 3 days with me. We had a 3-day weekend, right? And okay. I said, it's been a long time she's been on the road. And I said, yeah, it's good for you to come out sometime and see what I do. Like when we left LA, I did the show. I had to just run straight to the car and go straight to the LA airport and jump on a plane because I had a 3:00 play the next day in Oklahoma City. So I'm riding on the plane all night. And when I get to Oklahoma City, it's like, we got to go straight to the gig, Right. And it's like, oh, shoot. Yeah. So you don't get a chance to shower, trying to find some Listerine right quick and you brush it. And you know what I mean? And you get that little bath, and head on to the gig. And then the thing about it is you got to be perfect. It's like, you hit the wrong note, you forget your lines or whatever. So it's like perfection every night. It's like a baseball player get to strike out. You know what I mean? Football player get to, drop the ball every now and then, and, or, fumble. But you hit that wrong note, I went to see him, girl. I went to see him. Yeah, he
lost.
He missed it. Yeah. Oh no, girl. Yeah, I was waiting on it too. I want my money back. Yeah. So it's like, just trying to be perfect every night is a lot of stress on you.
Lenny, I know you're 75, right?
I'm 80. I made 80. February. What the day is? What the 18th?
Yeah.
So
damn. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you and Lonzo, man, that's some good genes right there.
A month and 2 days ago, I made 80. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, February 16th, 1945. Yeah.
Man. Doc, you know what? I tell people, I look at the cats ahead of me. That way I know it's possible to do what you do at 80 because you're doing it. Okay?
Yeah.
If you see it, you can be it. And I tell cats behind me, man, don't let them drugs and alcohol get you caught up where you can't live your life, man. You can't live you can't enjoy the fruits of your life. You can't enjoy.
Exactly.
You ain't got to you do what you do because you love doing it. Ain't because you got to do it. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
It's a whole different motivation when you out there because you like doing what you do. And what else you do? I'm gonna play golf. What am I gonna do? Take up knitting or something? No, I like doing what I do, but I can do it because I can do it and I enjoy doing it, but I don't have to do it. And that's the part that that's what they call the golden years of your life. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And
go ahead.
I used to run all the time and walk all the time. And my wife said, why do you walk so much? I say, I'm walking now so I can walk later. I'm walking in my 60s. So when I get in my 80s and my 90s, I'm walking, I ain't on no cane, I ain't on no walker or nothing like that. And then I was doing the interview the other day and somebody was asking me about my health and about looking good and everything like that. And then I was saying, well, shoot, I remember, they said, well, how'd you do that? I said, I said, when I was 20, I read a book by Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live. And in that book, he said, eat 1 meal a day. And he said, eat beans. He kept on saying, eat beans, right? And I don't care if you, Donald Trump or Elon Musk or whoever you are, got the most money in the world. If you went to the #1 nutritionist in the world, this is what they all say now. If you want to live long, eat 1 meal a day. They talking about fasting. That's the new thing now. Fasting, eat 1 meal a day and eat beans. You go to any nutrition, they telling you eat beans, eat vegetables and all that kind of stuff. Elijah Muhammad, I was in my 20s when I was reading that. So he wrote the book even before then. So he's been preaching this for 80 years or more, about how to eat to live. You see the Muslims, they got that smooth skin and everything like that. And so it's not like I was like real strict with it, but I try to live my life and make my eating habits ever since I've been 20, kind of, around Elijah Muhammad's plan and eating the kind of food that he was saying. And then here I am, at this age, and I mean, I might have some cancer somewhere, but it ain't acting ugly, it ain't showing itself. You know what I mean? They say most men our age and my age probably do have prostate cancer, but it's such a slow moving cancer that it'd probably be better not to even get a biopsy or try to deal with it. So I don't know if I do or not, but I'm still getting up, walking 2 to 4 miles a day, doing my 30, 40 push-ups every day, and just chasing the wife around the bed, trying to catch him. Come here.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna catch you tomorrow though. But you know what, Doc? I'm a prostate cancer survivor. I had it about 15 years ago. And and a lot of and I'm a prostate cancer advocate right now. I go around speaking about prostate cancer. I do more prostate cancer speaking than I do performing these days. And a lot of the doctors I work with, I came up with a theory, and basically the theory is that when you and I were growing up, our mamas cooked meals, fresh food, okay? And because nowadays, it used to be a time where prostate cancer was an old man's disease. Okay? Right. Old 67 years old, they get prostate cancer, like you say, it's slow moving. Right. It don't really bother nobody. But nowadays, I've been consulting cats that's 36, 37 with prostate cancer. And a lot of that, because the food they eat, they started eating junk a lot earlier. I didn't start eating fast food until I was damn near 20 years old. Yeah. Going to McDonald's, I didn't go to McDonald's on a regular basis until I was, I had a car and girlfriends and stuff. That was the big thing. When I was growing up in Compton, going to McDonald's was a major treat, okay? Major treat. And it was a different burger.
They didn't even have McDonald's when I was growing up. Right.
See? So you had you did have McDonald's. You had old McDonald's Farm. That's what you had, okay? Old McDonald's
exactly.
Farm, that's what you had. But I didn't have that. So, but nowadays, folks are growing up on fast food, and them chemicals give you the chance to affect your body at an earlier age. That's why you got a lot more childhood diabetes and things of that nature. And prostate cancer is affecting young men, especially young Black and brown men, a lot earlier than before. But again, Doc, I'm glad to see you doing great, man. Again, you're an inspiration to cats like me, because I got buddies falling off every day. Ain't seen.
I got one of my buddies right now. I'm saying, what you gonna do? You gonna do the seeds, or you gonna get it cut out, or there's so many different methodologies and way to treat it. And then you got to try to find the right one that works for you.
Right. Yeah. If you got any problems, let me know. Give him my number. I'll talk to him.
And then. And I go to my doctor now. The last 2 doctors I done had at Kaiser, they women doctors, right? So when I was coming up, you go to the doctor and, he tell you to bend over and, and stick a finger, and try to feel that prostate. But then the women, like my female doctors, he said, well, I don't have long fingers. And so I can't get up there, right? And so, but then they're saying, well, the PSA is a better way to find out. And then some people saying the PSA is not, the end all and the tell all of it. So it's just like trying to figure out, what's the best way to find out if you have it so that you can try to catch it early, Right.
Okay. Dusty, you got a question?
Yeah. No, I would love to know, and I'm gonna ask your wife to cover her ears for this question, Mr. Williams. But I would love to know about some of those 1970s, 1980s groupies. You have any crazy groupie story? Because that song, "Cause I Love You," is huge.
Yeah, I used to
have crazy groupie stories, my man.
Yeah, I had this one girl that I met, and she used to come around all the time, right? And you know, she loved to play tennis and everything. And so we was up in Seattle one time, and so somehow or another, they didn't have payphones. I mean, cell phones, or even before beepers. But somehow or another, we got in touch with each other, and she said, "I'm gonna fly up to Seattle and see you," right? And so she came. So she was around for a while, a couple of days, and I was ready for her to go, you know, and she didn't want to go, right? So then she's like, "I'm staying. I ain't going nowhere." Then she said, "I'm gonna fuck all the white boys, and if you make me leave, I'm gonna fucking all these white boys in the band." I'm like, "I don't care." And she took that tennis racket and wham, hit me head with it. I was like trying to get her out of my room, and you know, you can't. She was light skinned, you know, you touch it, you got a red mark on her, you know. I said, "Lord have mercy." And I'm trying to push her out the door without hurting her and everything. She spent the night with a couple of guys in the room. Some kind of way she found a way to catch a bus and get the hell on out of there and get back to New Orleans. Yeah, but I ran into her about 10 years ago. I was like, "Oh Lord, let me hurry up." It was funny because we pulled up in New York. And we waiting to go into the whole, you know, how the road manager get off the bus and go in and get all the keys and get everything. And we sitting there, and I've seen her just coming, walking down the street in New York, right? And I'm trying to hide on the bus, and she sees me. Then I get in the hotel. I told her, "Put me in a room, you know, and don't put my name on the rooming list." And that girl, she was a detective, right? She found my room and everything. Like, oh, that girl used to run me crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
She managed to, I guess she had some money or something. She just find me wherever I was. I wonder if she's still alive or not. Yeah. She might show up tomorrow. Who knows? Right.
Yeah. You can't ask about folks like that. They'll pop up on your ass for sure.
Yeah. So I had you know, had my share of wacky, crazy experiences out there. So but you know, I guess some of them, you know, I brought on myself. I say, like, I'm kind of like that old preacher. He say, "What God couldn't do, old age done finally done." You know what I mean? Just slow me down. Yeah, right. So I just sit in the house. My wife be like, "Why don't you go somewhere?" I'm like, "No, I'm cool right here, just sitting here. Something gonna jump in my mind in a minute. A song gonna jump off or something." Yeah.
When you're doing your show, how long a show do you do these days?
Well, when I do these shows with a whole bunch of people on it, right now I'm doing this. I was out with Jeffrey Osborne. It was me, Jeffrey Osborne, and I can't think the other guy. You know, so they give you. I did about 45 minutes. I hadn't done 45 minutes in a long time. Then I'll be doing the show where me, King George, Pokey Tucker, they got Westlove and different people. You know, Theodis Ely, and so they 20 minutes. If you work in a union house, they take you 15 to make sure that you don't go past 20. And you know, so it just varies. It varies on you know, and then every now and then I get a gig, you know, like something during the summertime, you know, outside, and then they say, "Oh, 75 minutes later," I'll be like, "Oh Lord have mercy, let me dig down deep, try to, you know, do 75 or 90 minutes." And you know, just remembering songs and making sure that the band, you know, remembers those songs, and then just just trying to see if you got the voice to do it. So far it ain't failed me yet. You know, the feet don't fail me now. Yeah.
I ain't never did a 70-minute show in my life. I think the longest we ever did was 45. We were doing 45. We was headline. Well, we was second headline under Zap. And man, that could be a long time, Doc. That could be especially you ain't got but about 5 songs, okay? 45 minutes was, we had to extend the hell out of them damn songs. Only thing saved us, most of our songs were dance songs anyway. We just able to out. We didn't, you know, we wasn't a whole bunch of lyrics. We stood around there and just say ho, wave your hands about that shit. But yeah, 70 minutes, 90 minutes, shit.
And then it all depends whether you got a band or you got a track. If you're doing track, then it's difficult to make people be saying what is hip. I got a track. I'm talking about there ain't no way that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And then you know, but if you got a band, then you can sing a little bit, let the band do its thing. Know, so right, and just prolong the song and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's it's just interesting, some nights it's 15, some nights it's 20. Like I said, when I was out with Jeffrey a couple weeks ago, I know he just lost his wife and everything like that. So, praying for him. But, then they wanted me to do 40, 45. 45 is cool. I can manage that,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because I Love You is 7.5, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, well, I know that's going to work. And then I do So Very Hard to Go, Still a Young Man. And then I throw in, a couple other songs, do a blues and, and you got to learn how to talk a little bit, you got to, tell a joke or something,
Yeah.
Dig into that inner Richard Pryor or Bill Cosby or somebody and find something to, something to say,
Do you do that song? She buried my drawers. What the drawers?
She took my drawers.
Take my drawers.
Oh yeah, I do that song. Folks be liking it. Yeah, right.
She took my drawers.
Yeah. Well, for you from Louisiana, your roots are Louisiana.
That. Who down there,
you want a man and all the women after your man, and you trying to keep him, girl.
Explain that.
Yeah, we up there down south, especially down there where we from, all that geeky stuff, they tell you, if them old women tell them young girls, yeah, baby, you got your good man, go out there and get a pair of his drawers and bury him. They used to say bury him in the backyard. Then some people say the front yard. Then they used to say get a pair of the dirty drawers. I don't know what it is, but I know it's somewhere in there. It's the truth is in there somewhere. You get a pair of his drawers and you bury him in the yard. You ain't never got to worry about that man leaving. You know what I mean? He gonna stay around forever. Yeah, right. So I be, telling them young girls, yeah, you and them young dudes, like, boy, you better count the draws because you fool around one of them women put that voodoo on you.
That's what my wife did. Let me go get her. That's what you did.
I had a girlfriend one time. We was breaking up, and she looked me dead in my face and was serious as hell. My mama told me to put that period blood in your spaghetti. You wouldn't be leaving my ass.
Yeah, what? They do that too. Yeah. They'll put that period blood up or pee in your Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so they say, watch your spaghetti. Yeah, right, because they put that period blood in your spaghetti or they pee in your Kool-Aid, and if you're susceptible to that, and they believe it, it's like, who knows? The mind is a strong thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that hoodoo something else, boy.
Yeah, that's some of that black folklore. You know what I mean? So they do. Why you come up with that record? I say, hey, y'all study your black history. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you'll find out where I got it from. All down there in Mississippi and Louisiana, boy. Them girls is they getting them draws and burying them and doing all kinds of stuff to keep their man.
Yep. They got to take a draws inventory every night. What am I doing?
Yeah, right. Count them up, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, back in the day, see, used to have only one or two pair anyway. You know what I mean? So you can kind of keep up with them. But now we got all kind of different colors and everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I saw a big old boy on the plane yesterday. He bent over to do something and had on some yellow drawers. Big old country boy. Looked like one of them big old Ku Klux Klanners or something. I said, a big old boy with a beard and tattoos all his face, got on some yellow drawers.
Yellow drawers, okay. Hey, what can you say? Lenny, I ain't going to hold you up, Doc. I thank you for stopping through, though, man. I really appreciate you. I really do.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate your platform and everything like that. And you and Dusty, give me the opportunity to come on and everything like that. And want folks to check out that song for sure. It's yours. Yeah, right.
All right, Doc. I'll see you next time. Stay healthy, Doc. I appreciate you.
It's yours.
Okay. All right. Y'all be good now.
Count
them draws.
All right, folks. Oh, shoot. That's the wrong one.
Brother.
All right, Doc. There you go, man. Mr. Lenny Williams himself, folks. Legendary. Mr. O himself. My folks, man. My real talk. My folks. We go back like that.
Damn. That's a classic song right there. And I had no idea the connection. Didn't even think about it till you said it when we started the show.
Yeah. Like I said before, I didn't know it myself, man. My cousin, another of my cousins was watching the documentary with, he was watching the documentary and he called Lenny. Him and Lenny was doing something. And he said, that's your cousin right there. And then he said, no, how my cousin, he was the family historian. Well, that's Auntie so-and-so's nephew's son's cousin. on the third side, whatever the case may be. How can I catch up with him? Then I get a call from Jay King, and Jay King like, hey man, you know Lonzo Williams? Yeah, I know Lonzo, and he put us on the phone. We had a 4-way going, and that's how we hooked it up, man. And we've been cool as ice ever since. In fact, it was crazy because
that's dope. Well,
right before that, I was trying to book Lenny at the Hollywood Park Casino, and I was having problems with one of my local competition from Uncle Jam's Army. He didn't want him to book, and he had booked it before, and he didn't want Lenny to play for me. He said, "Man, that's my cousin. Fool, I'm not gonna let you get him for me and my family." My boy was so molded; he didn't know how to act. But yeah, that family thing has stepped up and came to the rescue a couple times. That's how I hooked up with Zap. That's how I hooked up with Zap.
That's crazy.
Yeah, through Lenny.
Really?
Yeah, he hooked me up with Zap, hooked me up with Vesta Williams and my boy. Both of them passed. Vesta Williams and what's the guy's name? Played for the Temptations, Ollie Woodson. They all came from my Lenny connection. Because I was trying to book some single track artists at my club, Eve After Dark, and just do a grown folks thing. And we were able to do it. And like I said, I needed a connection. He was that connection. I was able to book all them acts directly, which keeps the managers out and keeps out the agents and stuff. And I got a good deal, and they made their money, and it was a good show for everybody. Yep, Vesta.
Nice.
And
love that, man. Let's talk a little bit. We got about 20 more minutes.
You got it.
Answer some questions. Oh, sorry, we got a little delay. My bad.
Just a little one.
All right. Yeah. Before we continue, I'm asking everybody to hit that like button if you haven't already. Smash that like button, and please hit that subscribe button if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear. Last week, Lonzo, we had Mike Frankie on talking about banging on wax. He was the engineer on the project. Anyone who hasn't checked that interview out, I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you love the Banging on Wax project. But you guys talked about Russ Regan, and according to Mike Frankie, he, quote, didn't have the best reputation in the business. Can you talk to us about Russ Regan, who he is, what we know about him, and your personal experiences with him?
Russ Regan was one of them cats, man, that he had been successful for a while, and according to what I was told, which I can't say is true or not, he hit a bad streak and just got ruthless, just started ganking, especially when it came to hip hop folks. He tied into I think it was Maury Alexander, Jerry's partner, and a lot of folks, man, got ripped off in that whole little process right there, Doc. I never really dealt with him. I met him before, but by the time I met him, I'd already been warned about it. In fact, because I had people like Swamp Dogg, Etta James in my corner, they knew all the shysters, and his name was on the shyster list, okay? Maury Alexander was on the shyster list. And these people knew that you didn't know about publishing. They knew that you would just get excited about some people would get excited about being an artist. Some people didn't think about reading contract. They just signed them and busted the check. Meanwhile, you didn't give away everything you owned for the rest of your life. And that's how they preyed on a lot of people, especially young black folks in the game. And these names kept popping up in those conversations.
Okay. Now, Lenny Williams' song, Cause I Love You, you said earlier, 7.5 minute song. Your song, Lovers, 8 minute long. What went behind making a song that long back in the day? Was there a theory behind it? Was there reasoning behind it?
Nah, man, you got to understand, when we were doing records back in the day, we were copying off of other people. And the record that we copied off of was Float On by the Floaters. I think the Floaters might have been about 8 minutes, but it had damn near a 2-minute intro. You float on, and the music. I mean, the music would do its thing, and then the float on, and then you hear the little all kind of little shit going on, and you heard all these instruments before you got to the first dude say anything. You might have been 2.5 minutes in the song, because back then the intros of the songs were just as important as the lyrics. Me and my boy Julian Jackson, one of the baddest DJs that ever touched turntables, had this same conversation about 2 weeks ago. We were talking about how back in the day, the intro most A&R people gave you 45 seconds to get their attention, which means usually the beat or the intro would be part of the lot, part of the hook. Okay. And that was the groove right there. And if the groove got you, you might let me start singing. If the groove didn't get you, I'm not going to I probably won't pay no attention. That's why if you listen to most of your songs, especially from the 80s, they had 2 minute, maybe 45-second intros, okay, where you just heard music. And that was for two reasons. One, to establish the beat, and also that's when mixing started to play in the fact. Mixing became a big part of DJing, especially in the 70s. Shit, Float On came out in the 70s. So all that doom, 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 all that shit right there, that was all a part of the mix for, and you could lay records on top of it, and it just made the whole thing that much more flexible far as playing with far as the DJ. And we just followed the same footsteps. Those were our blueprints, Doc.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's go back a few weeks ago to when we were discussing Yella's documentary. Now, in N.W.A, I, as a fan, as a supporter of them back in the day, we didn't necessarily know Yella as the rapper, quote. He was more the beat maker along with Dre, engineer, and things like that. But however, he mentioned in the documentary that you needed a rapper in the group, so that's why you brought him on. Can you tell us about that and what you know about his transition from a rapper to a beat maker?
Yella, a rapper? Yella only rapped on 2 songs. That was Turn Up the Lights and Lovers.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said quote in the documentary, Lonzo needed a rapper, so he brought me on. That's why he brought me on.
I'm gonna look at that again. Because he was a DJ.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard that. I wrote it down word for word.
I can't ever recall to get Yella to rap. First of all, you had to write all his lyrics. I wrote most of his lyrics. Me or Clientele wrote Yella's lyrics. And the only time I can recall him rapping was on Lovers and Turn Up the Lights. Even in the song World Class, which was about him, he didn't say nothing. Even some of Dre's N.W.A songs, and Yella's on the back on the beat, blah, something like that. He didn't have a whole lot to say. He's always been the Ringo of any group he was in.
Okay.
He was a Ringo star. I'm going to listen to that quote again.
I'm going to go back and listen to that and make sure I heard it correctly.
Yeah. I needed him to snatch down some posters. That's what I needed him to do initially. Okay. But I never needed him to do no rapping, as far as I can recall.
Okay, that could be my bad, but I'm going to look into it next week. Update next week for everybody.
Okay. Never in the studio did he rap.
Marlon Cozy says, yo, Unc, is there any advice or life lessons?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying when the boy got on stage, he would always go out front.
Okay. Marlon says, yo, Unc, is there?
I'm done. You got a nice delay going there. Go ahead. I'm quiet. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, I know. What's going on? Damn. Sorry, man. Gotta love technology. But Marlon Cozy says, yo, Unc, is there any advice or life lessons you now can pass down to young Lonzo coming up in the club music label owner game?
Yeah, Doc. There was a section of time I could have cut out and went right to probably real estate. If I had better understanding of money in real estate, I'd have bought a lot more. But right before I bought this house where I'm at right now, around the corner where I live at, the guy, I've been cutting this lawn since I was a little boy, and it was an older dude. He was about to liquidate he had an apartment building on Broadway, had a house around the corner, and both of them he wanted $200,000 for it. Both of them. It was a 16-unit apartment building on Broadway and a house. Both of them he wanted $200,000. Now I was balling. I'm sitting on about 100 cash, but I didn't understand. I didn't have no credit, and I didn't understand finance. And my dad, be honest, I don't think he did either, because he told me, man, if you need 200, you're gonna be broke. Where you going to get the other 100 from? And I'm like, I didn't. I passed on that opportunity, because that opportunity right there, and another one of my tax guys had another guy that had an apartment in Compton, a fourplex in Compton. The guy was losing it. He needed $4,000. He was going to sign it off, and I passed on it. Those two situations I know would have changed my life forever. Okay, those two situations would have changed my life forever. But I didn't have I had the money, but not the financial wherewithal to take advantage of the opportunity. And I would have told young Lonzo, slow your ass down and go drop some money on these houses. Okay, slow your ass down and go buy this property. That's the difference I would have told Lonzo, and leave some of these girls alone. I only had one kid for the most part until I was 40 years old. Now I got 5. I had one kid till I was 40 years old. I had one kid till I was 40, 43, and then kids came out of everywhere. I found 2, now I got 3, and I made 2 more. Now I got 5. Yeah. Yeah, that's a true story. And one of them,
sperm, man.
Now
let me hope I get this quote.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Let me hope I get this quote right. But you mentioned, I can't remember if we were interviewing someone or if we were talking, you and I, but I wrote it, I typed it in because I wanted to ask you about this. But you mentioned you were afraid to release one of your songs because you, quote, thought you were going to go to the penitentiary. Do I have that correct? Okay. What story was that? Remind us what story that was.
That was the EAD rap. We was going to be the West Coast Sugar Hill gang. Okay. When Sugar Hill dropped Rappers Delight, my partner, who I just spoke to week before last, Lewis Harper, worked for a record label. He wouldn't got me an instrumental version of Rockskate Roll Bounce Made. We went to a 16-track studio in Hermosa Beach, Backyard Boogie Studio, and we all, me, Unknown, Dr. Rock, and I think Ron and Billy T, went in the studio and did a Rappers Delight version using Rockskate Roll Bounce. Okay, jumped right on it. Okay, it was a hot track. We played it. We only had cassettes made of it, but it was hot. The shit was hot as fuck. But I did not understand the record business at all. I knew nothing about the record business. And if you look at every record, if you find the record, look at the bottom of them. Copyright, use of this, illegal use of this copyright, something to that effect, is a federal offense. When I thought of feds, I thought of Guantanamo Bay. Okay. And the same thing when I started making the bootlegs. I knew I was doing something illegal. I didn't know how it was such good money, like so many guys selling dope. The money was so good, I took the chance, but I never liked looking over my shoulder. That is never something I've ever felt comfortable doing. And those 2 experiences made me do that. And again, the EAD rap, I didn't know nothing about making records. I didn't know how to press them. I didn't know nothing about the records. So I still have the tape right to this day. I still got it. Never released it though. I still got it. Nobody that you know other than me is on that tape. That's why the value may be minimum, but I still got it. People forget that Dre and them was like
Yep, keep going.
People forget that Dre and them was like my second crew. They was not the first crew. They were like my third crew. Damn near. When I first opened the Eve After Dark, it was me, Unknown, a guy named Sweet Ron, Billy T, and a cat named Elston Butler, Elegant Elston. Okay, we were the 5 guys. Elston left first. Then Dr. Rock came in, and that was the crew for about the first year of Eve After Dark. Okay, then Ron and Billy T left, and then Yella came in, and then Clientele and Dre came in. So yeah, I'm about 3 crews in before you get to Yella and Dre now. Most people don't know that.
Because wants to know, in the Straight Outta Compton movie, did they ask to use any of your equipment for authenticity for the studio scene?
No, that was on my studio. They just made up some shit for the studio, but they did give me a few dollars to use think I had 2 songs in that movie. I know I had an album cover for House Calls, which was Dre's record, which I'm trying to figure out. We got a record of Dre's in the movie, and Dre ain't made a record yet. And then I think we had something else that was. I know they gave me like $1,000 just to have it in the background. But yeah, no, they didn't call me for any equipment wise. Any equipment, they didn't call me. Period. They didn't even call me for consulting or nothing. The whole studio situation, I have no idea where that was at. It just was posed. It was depicted to be like my house.
Okay. All right. So I asked Lenny Williams this question. I'm gonna ask you, Lonzo. Tell us your craziest groupie story. You may have told it in the past, but let's talk it again since we're on the subject.
We in Texas. What's the crazy? That's crazy. We in Texas. The bus broke down in Texas. Dre and them went with me this time. Dre and them, they was mad at me. I took a couple other cats with me this time, and we go to a club. Everybody. Ain't nobody seen no female attention in about 10 days. Everybody eyes bucked out. Niggas got blue balls. Okay. They got a bad case of blue balls, right? So we go to the local club. We in Texas. And one thing about this club, I can say they have some beautiful women there, some beautiful white women. I'm not used to Texas. Texas women and Louisiana white women are different than California white women. Trust me. And dude, we were so crazy that we tried to pick up some hookers, right? And they wouldn't. It was like 5 cats in the cab. They was not getting that cab with us whatsoever. No way in the world. So we go back to the hotel, but a couple of girls, one of my boys, he met a couple of young ladies. So one went to his room, one came to my room, and I ain't never been no kind of push up. Force my no. So we sit in my room. She said she came to wait for her girlfriend because the girlfriend was next door in my partner's room getting busy, and she was waiting for her in my room. I said, "Well, cool. I'm watching TV." So I wasn't even tripping. It's a true story. I wasn't even tripping. Okay, she looked all right, but it's 1 o'clock in the morning. She's fine as shit. Okay, at 9 o'clock, she's all right. By 1, I'm fine. Okay, but anyway. I'm sitting there, and our rooms are adjacent, and I get a knock at my door. Let me in. So I open the door. Her partner, who she was waiting for, is standing in the doorway. All she's wearing is a face towel. I didn't say a towel, a face towel. She's trying to cover her parts up with these face towels, okay? I'm like, what happened? And she gave me this story. And he won't give me my clothes because of so-and-so and so-and-so. I said, I'll talk to him. So I tell her to go in the room. Well, I go holler at my boy, man, you can't do no shit like that. So meanwhile, he's tripping. He's laughing and joking and shit. He fucking with her. So now I go back in the room, and the girl who was like, I'm looking at this fine motherfucker with holding these towels up. She lays across the bed and throws the cover over her. Meanwhile, her partner goes in the bathroom, came out. All she was wearing was a T-shirt. I'm like, oh, shit. She changed her mind. So the grandmaster started grandmastering. Meanwhile, her partner is watching me, grandmaster, her partner. And I'm trying to impress her because I'm thinking, okay, this might be some double up here, right? Man, homegirl said, save me some. It was over with. The fine partner said, save me some. And I was done. I was done. Then here come the boyfriends. Just like in Straight Outta Compton, the boyfriends came looking for him. No bullshit. They came to my boy's room first, knocked on his door. We pushed them. They was in my room. They knocked on his door. I heard them. They knocked on my door. We put him in his room. And then they left the floor. Y'all got to get out of here. That's no bullshit. I got done in.
Oh, man. Good stuff. Perfect timing, man. Any last words that want to hit them with that outro?
Oh, man, we know we got to do it. We got to get up out of here, folks. In the meantime, all right, folks, for those who never heard of me, I'm the first one to put Dr. Dre in the surgery. stuck Ice Cube in the freezer till he got cold. On the eve after dark, 50-yard line to Super Bowl. In the movie Straight Outta Compton, they played me like a hater of rap. Don't believe that Hollywood bull, because it was all cap. My history goes deeper than you will ever know. Just remember that N.W.A. stands for not without Alonzo. Peace, y'all.